Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And despite the fact that they had said, I'm starting right off, but despite the fact that they said that it was the rains would continue till the 2nd of September and then, we might catch a break. But it seems that God has other plans because it's raining. It's raining lightly, but it's been raining. It rained yesterday. It rained today twice at least, and it's expected to rain again tomorrow. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because, despite the fact that right now, as I said, it's officially autumn. Remember, I said that this would be the last spell. The whatever rains we'll have this week would be the last spell connecting us to winter, or basically autumn. So these are winter rains now, ending of monsoon, beginning of autumn. And so yeah, not technically winter rains, autumn rains, end of monsoon rains. But as we can see, God has other plans. But in any case, autumn officially has begun thanks to these rains. And this is where the problem lies, because normally, as I said, we would all be enjoying these quiet, silent rains at this point in time, and we would be welcoming autumn. But because of the devastation, because of the flood, the displaced people who are literally on their own. As I said, you may like to say that, yeah, okay, but still some rescue workers did manage to reach in Chiniot or in Lahore or in Jhang. Some, ED has managed to reach and all. But the point is, again, as I said, the Provincial Disaster Management Authority of Punjab, where was it? It was ineffective. Also, they're not supposed to go there to get people out of the floods. They were supposed to go there before the flood even occurred, and they should have helped people out. The fact that they had already, done a major job at shutting down any shelter projects that Imran Khan had begun is now working to their disadvantage because they have nowhere to help these people go. So they're setting up their so-called emergency tents and their emergency place. And seriously, what are the people supposed to do there? How are you going to help them in this chilly weather that is about to begin? How are you going to help them with starvation, with basic needs and necessities, especially the females? It's always the females who are going to suffer the most, as you know. When it comes to hygiene problems, if it will come to other problems, and then when it comes to, again, children, and when it comes to food, and when it comes to, there's so many problems that now will occur, and people are pissed off. Obviously, people are even more pissed off because, as I said, people who are trying to give aid to them are being stopped. And the PTI people who are setting up camps everywhere to give aid, they're being removed. And NGOs are being removed. Everybody is just being removed. This has never happened. Nobody has ever gone this far as to stop people from giving aid, But this is how demented. As I remember, I said that Maryam Nawaz is actually insane, and it's amazing. I don't know what it is. If it is some sort of a, some sort of a telepathy, or we all seem to reach to one conclusion in the same time, despite the fact that we don't even know each other. But as soon as I declared her insane, literally a few hours later, I start hearing podcasts of all other senior analysts and journalists declaring her insane. So it means we've all reached to that, we've all reached to that conclusion. So it means if everybody from different pockets of the world are arriving at this conclusion, at the same time, more or less, it means that there is some truth to it. It means that we're all observing the exact same things. And it's like how, I always used to talk about Shahbaz Sharif as well, that man has mental problems. And, it's weird. Remember in one of my very previous podcasts, I had somehow managed to drop that that statement where I said that Maryam Nawaz actually looks like she's Shahbaz Sharif's daughter and not Nawaz Sharif's daughter, because she seems to be copying him in so many ways, from the photo shoots. Well, she's gone further ahead into TikToks. But all the things that Shahbaz Sharif used to do as chief minister, she's doing the exact same things, but a little more in a little more advanced fashion. Have you noticed that? Literally, it's as if she's his daughter and not his niece. So, I mean, they need to do some DNA checking there. But anyway, they're both as demented as each other. Okay, and on a very high level. So it's very dangerous, to be honest. But okay, today the reason I'm talking about this is, as I said, because much as I would love to enjoy this weather, the thought of the people displaced with nowhere to go, helping themselves, digging out their own dead relatives, their own dead families, graves have been submerged, which actually, to be honest, as a Muslim, um, one wouldn't or shouldn't make. I mean, because in Islam there is no concept of having concrete graves. Graves are supposed to be just a part of the soil, and they are supposed to cease to exist at one point, because when you're dead and gone, you're dead and gone. There is no such thing as taking care of the graves of the dead in Islam. In fact, that's one of the things that can lead towards shirk, you know? So, yeah, but I do understand their pain. It's not that I don't understand their pain. Who doesn't? I mean, we all do. But I'm saying, as a Muslim, one has to think that, okay, fine, we can let go of that even. But the fact that they don't have anybody to help them out, and then they're helping each other out, they're helping themselves out, and they're taking care of the dead on their own, they're taking care of their own displacement too. This is too much, too much. People, as I said, have children. What do you want their children to see? What trauma are you trying to give their children? you know Imagine they were living a dignified life in their own homes with their own lands, and suddenly they have nowhere to go, and they have suddenly become homeless. And that loss of dignity on its own is more than enough. And then to be treated the way they're being treated by the government, that just goes beyond. I mean, everybody's just looking at the government and the army, wondering what the frack are they doing. And again, I would say, look at Indonesia, right? Look at Indonesia. Indonesia has shown us what people can do. It has shown us dignity. It has shown us that this is what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, we already know that this is what we're supposed to be doing, but they went and did it. For how long have I been saying we need to, literally go up there, drag the people out of their parliament, drag the people out of the Senate, drag them out of their homes, drag them out of their offices, and make them pay. And you know what? Can you imagine that the Indonesians, basically, when they set fire to their local parliament, it was for more or less the same reason as what we're going through, and that was the fact that their president had suddenly announced a new lavish housing allowance for lawmakers, you know, and it just the it literally, because the people were going through, again, what we're going through, high taxes, financial crisis, inflation, you know, and I mean, you're making people go through all of that, and then you suddenly announce an allowance of 50 million rupiah. Yeah, it's rupiah or rupiah for them too. It's like rupees. Yeah, we kind of share the same, except we call ours rupiah in Punjabi and rupees in English. But in their case, well, okay, so 50 million rupiah or rupiah for members of parliament. Okay. And this is an amount that is nearly 10 times the minimum wage in Jakarta. So you can imagine that the allowance was seen as an excessive and insensitive step, you know, keeping in mind the cost of living crisis and rising unemployment. See, they are going through the same things we're going through. Basically, the whole world. Remember, I told you right now, the whole world is actually now on par with Pakistan. We're literally at the same level right now. And the protest that had begun on the 25th of August, it went on a deep end, and it escalated when Afan Kurniawan, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the last name wrong, when the 21-year-old delivery driver was fatally run over by an armored police vehicle. It reminds you of what? France, remember? In France too, the protests escalated when such a similar thing happened, except that in France, the police did it deliberately to that young boy. And here, I'm not sure if this was a deliberate incident or basically just an accident or something. I don't know. But this fueled the people. And so the protest escalated. And especially when the video circulated, it went viral. So that fueled their anger, as I said. And that is when they just went all out, basically. And you know what? It's not like the people that the government is now going to do what our army and illegal government did, because their government, whatever it is legal, right? They didn't just jump onto people's heads like that. But our government was illegal, and our army the chief is illegally put. He was retired, and then, he was still made army chief. And he wasn't even supposed to be army chief, even if he didn't retire, because he wasn't even qualified for it. So we have our illegal government and illegal army chief setting, the using the law enforcement and using the government organizations against the people when we started protesting. And as you know, they kidnapped a lot of our people. They sent the police into people's homes. They kidnapped them from their homes. They falsified charges against them. They made trumped up charges against them. You didn't have to be a PTI worker. No, no, no. You just had to be a civilian, who was speaking up against them. And even now, it's still going on. And you know what? Remember how they tried to blame the people for trying to destroy public property, when actually it is confirmed that it was the intelligence agency itself that was responsible for deliberately damaging public property, including Radio Pakistan and including the Corps Commander's house, or whatever it was. And, they deliberately did that, obviously, so that they could use that against the people of Pakistan and against PTI and against Imran Khan, as we all know, right? But look at them. Look at them in Indonesia. What did they try to do? They tried to appease the people, even if they didn't do a very good job of it. But at least this is what the president decided to take back that announcement. He's like, okay, I withdraw from that. We're not going to give them that housing allowance, But the people were still not satisfied. They're like, oh, you think that you're just going to get away with just that? No, no, no. We want all our demands. And, as I said, I'll tell you that the fires that occurred at the regional parliament buildings, okay, this is not the national parliament in Jakarta, but the regional parliament buildings, they set fire to a provincial council building, and then they set fire to a regional parliament building. So, and in other cities, fires were also set at regional parliament buildings in West Nusa, Tenggara, Pekalongdan, and Cirebon, right? So imagine that they have actually set fire to quite a number of local and regional parliaments. But did the government do what our government was doing to us or did to us? No. Although yes, there are reports of how the police tried to arrest the people, who were taking part in that and whatever. But obviously, still, whatever it is, they're not going to do what our government did, because their government is legitimate in any case. Our government was not. You have to keep that in mind too. So, this is what is going on in Indonesia. And yet in Pakistan, again, as I said, this is high time. Once again, God is giving you so many legitimate reasons to kick their butts, but you're not doing it. He's giving you, honest to God, huge, viable opportunities, and you're not taking them. What are you people doing? Listen, if the people collectively stand against them even now, you know, how can they? Majority is authority. There's a reason why we always talk about divide and rule. There's a reason why we always talk about unity. The reason why occupiers divide people is so that people do not get united, because they know that when people get united, you cannot control them. If the whole of Pakistan once again gets united against them and we push them back, do you honestly think they can actually tolerate or endure it? No, they will not be able. I mean, even now, the people, the flood victims, why, again, I would ask the same question, why are you even there? Although now I think I'm getting my answer here. I had a sneaking suspicion, because they always do that. So I had a sneaking suspicion that maybe they are using imposters who are pretending to be flood victims, just for the whole show that they're putting on. That Mariam Nawaz is visiting the flood victims and this and that. But now some people who are the actual flood victims, they have made videos of it, and they have talked about it to independent journalists on social media. And they have said that we have evidence that when Mariam Nawaz came here, I think she went to Jang side or something, and they were told that, well, she was here just 5 kilometers away from you. They were like, yeah, 5 kilometers away from us, where we weren't even allowed to go. We were being pushed back very badly by the police. The police literally manhandled us, and they dragged us away, and they even threatened to arrest us. They wouldn't let us go and talk to her and ask her what the hell she's doing and why aren't we getting any help. And he was like, and the men were like, we've got proof here, okay. And then the independent journalist was like, okay, then who were those people who she was supposedly meeting? And they're like, God knows, probably some of her own. So it means that in many cases, once again, she's putting on a show where she's having pretend flood victims, where the real flood victims actually are not even allowed to see her or come to her. And obviously, there are some real flood victims too in the mix, because you cannot say that some of the women and children that I've seen, they were definitely, you know, they definitely, some of them seem to have been genuine flood victims. But again, why were they standing and waiting for her for 5 hours? I mean, listen, if I am a bona fide flood victim, do you honestly think I'm going to stand there and wait for that woman, that insane, demented woman, to come and put on her show? I would be so pissed off by then that I would abuse the hell out of all of them and leave. And in fact, again, this is what's happening. Like this this really short video filled with abuses of a PMLN voter and supporter who was literally calling Khwaja Asif out by name, and because he was from his city, Sialkot, and he gave such a long list of abuses in just one less than a minute. The whole video was filled with him abusing him, and abusing probably his whole family tree, and calling him out. And that person was actually a PMLN voter and supporter. He was of his own party, I think, of Nawaz Sharif's party, in other words. But so what I'm saying is, people who are literally going through this, they don't have time to stand and wait for these people. No, they are out there. They are pissed off. They are literally abusing the bejesus out of these people. So why would anybody stand and wait there for 5 hours just so that Mariam Nawaz could come and do her photo shoot? Or that the district, I think it was the district commissioner who went and decided to make a TikTok of his own. Like, what is wrong with these people? That is why we say that they have mental issues. Okay. Now, coming back to India, India's media, as you know, as always, nobody can take India's media seriously, because India's media has just one work to do, and that is propaganda. And the whole world is now sick and tired of the Indian news. Nobody, as I said, accepts the Indian news. Even the facts and figures that they're giving of the amount of damage that has occurred in India is probably wrong and skewed and biased. Because let's face it, as I said, India is also getting flooded. India, let's put it this way, India's upstream, Pakistan's downstream. India cannot take credit for flooding Pakistan, even though the media likes to. Yes, the Indian media is actually celebrating the fact that they are drowning Pakistan with their floods. And they are celebrating the fact that they are killing thousands of people in Pakistan through opening the floodgates. What they don't, in all of that bizarre phenomenon that's going on, I think they're failing to realize that their own people are also pissed off. Their own people have also lost a lot. Their Punjab is also flooded and submerged. And forget about that. Before that, even, as you know, as I said, India has been actively making these dams to hoard all that water. And they have failed, as I said. You can see India is flooded. More rains are coming, more rains are expected throughout this week, I think, the way things are going. And that means more floods will occur in India. And then once again, these floods will be diverted through Pakistan, to Pakistan and through Pakistan. Now, look at it this way, both countries are going to have rains, both countries are going to get flooded, and then India is going to divert its flood to Pakistan, right? But remember, India's media can make up all the stories it likes, but it shows that India has failed as well, because they were making all these dams. Do you know the number of villages that were submerged due to their dam projects? I mean, it's so huge that even if you try to Google it on AI, you will not be able to get the number, because this is an ongoing process accordingly. Yeah, it means that more and more villages are being submerged as we speak, while India is still working on future dams, right? So, according to the the whole, if you look at the whole projects that they've done, according to these projects, um, thousands of villages have already been submerged just because of their dam projects, right? And right now, and this is again a cautionary number, because remember, Pakistan and India, and in fact any country that's going through massive devastation, their media will never give you the exact number. They will always try to downplay it. Okay, so in Punjab, in India, from all the people that I've heard in India, as in the people that I know in India, you know, from what they have shared, you can understand that India is not any, as I said even in my last podcast, India is not any better than Pakistan. Okay? Floods are occurring in India even as we speak, just as they are occurring in Pakistan, right? And over 1,000 villages, and it says, I said this is a cautionary number because they will never tell the actual truth, but over 1,000 villages and 61,000 hectares of farmland are submerged due to the severe floods across the state's land. Okay? And massive relief efforts, according to them, are underway, with about 11,000 people rescued. And their authorities are working around the clock. Now, here's where the difference lies, is that the India's authorities are at least doing something, whereas our authorities are doing jack shit, despite the fact that they like to claim that they're doing something, but they're not. Okay, they're not. So if we just look at that the total number of villages affected across all of India is not even centrally tracked in real time, right? Because the flood reports are completed by the state and local authorities, and the situation is constantly evolving as we speak, which is very similar to Pakistan. So imagine that these 1,000 villages are just what we can find out. And if you listen again to the people in Punjab, they some of them have made a very, you know, um, very compelling, and a very it's something that is worth noting. A very compelling statement saying that they are. I mean, Punjab is essentially the farmland, as you know, in both in India and Pakistan. Punjab is your main agricultural state or province. In Pakistan, it's province. Over there, it's state. And keeping that in mind, when you look at now the fact that Punjab has always been there to feed the rest of the country, on a large scale. Punjab is also, especially in Pakistan, but the Indian Punjabis also made this claim when they talked about their Punjab being flooded. They're like, we have always been there for all of you. We have fed you, we have, exported, we have harvested, and now we need you, you know and I was thinking that, you know what, it's the same thing here in Punjab, in Pakistan's Punjab, where, yes, because basmati rice is grown in Pakistan's Punjab, by the way. It's not even grown in India. That is another misconception people have. Whenever people talk about Indian basmati rice, there's no such thing as Indian basmati rice, okay? Real basmati rice is grown only and only in Pakistan. Right now, all that is gone. All the rice, you know, the crops, the harvest gone. Everything that was in season, that was right now farmed, is gone on both sides of the border, on both Punjabs, right? This, you know what this means? This means that both countries are going to be affected. Again, India thinks it's huge, it's massive, and it can still deal with it. Yes, yeah, it can deal with it. But at the end of the day, this is a loss. This is a huge loss, okay? Because again, in Pakistan especially, it should be considered, and it must be considered, because as a huge loss, because as I said, actually India has only a small part of Punjab. The huge majority of Punjab is here in Pakistan. And keeping in mind our farmlands, and keeping in mind our population and everything, if Punjab gets, I mean, if Punjab faces this loss, then understand that Pakistan has faced loss. And this loss will be in billions, you know. I mean, even in the 2017 floods, I think our losses were in billions. And that wasn't anything compared to this, according to their reports, according to the so called, experts, that this flood is a super flood. And that 2017 also was nothing compared to now. And then we had billions of dollars worth of loss. Imagine what we're going to have now. So, what I'm trying to say is, if you look at how the people in Indonesia have reacted, and if you look at how the people in India too are reacting, how the farmers have protested and all. You look at Pakistan, you see farmers have protested, you see people have protested. But here's the difference. In Indonesia, everybody got together, they made a difference. In India and in Pakistan, unfortunately, people do not stand completely united. In India, it's understandable because every state is like a mini country on its own. So within the state, they stand united, and it still affects the government in any case. But in Pakistan, we all have to stand united to make a difference, because it's not like India where every province is on its. No, to us it matters when we're all together, when we all stand united. The Balochis, the Pathans, the Kashmiris, people from Gilgit Baltistan, people from Sindh, people from Punjab, when we all get together. And that is again the only person who undeniably gets the whole country together is Imran Khan. Not PTI, not any political party, not any army, nobody, just one single man, Imran Khan. Even if he makes a call from jail, the whole country is ready. That shows you where we stand. But it also was something that we thought we were, finally taking that step, and we were going there, where in the direction we needed to go, when we all again got united without Imran Khan because he was in jail. So this leaderless unity of the people was a welcome surprise to the people of Pakistan and to the whole world. But somehow, again, the momentum dropped. And that is the problem. And that is why I say that protests like this, they don't help. Protests like the type done in Indonesia, that's the kind that helps. Protests like the type that went on in Bangladesh, that's the kind that helps. The one that actually reaches its peak, reaches a conclusion, and then once it's done, then we subside. That kind of protest we only had once, and that was right before the elections. And it subsided once Imran Khan became prime minister. That is when everything went back to normal. But after that, we haven't been able to do that. Not the way, I mean, we didn't reach that point. We've had protests, we're still having protests. Now people are getting pissed off. The flood victims who are displaced, they're getting pissed off. The people who are trying to give them aid, they're getting pissed off. And the antics of the army and of the government, who are too busy once again just playing politics and enjoying themselves and traveling and wasting our money. They're literally proving my point again when I said that they are here to wrap things up. And as long as we just sit down and look at their faces, grumbling angrily, they will wrap things up with a pretty bow on top and they will sell us out. They've already sold us out. But I mean, right now the sale is virtual. Before it actually ends up being physical, we need to get up and we need to throw them out. We cannot wait anymore. Again, as I said, this is another opportunity getting lost. Right as I speak, this is another opportunity getting lost. We need to learn from Indonesia that timing, not just the timing, but the kind of protest, as I said, we have to take it there. We really have to take it there. We cannot keep on protesting like this. No, we have to take it to their homes. I'm sorry, but there's no other way. And I've been saying this for more than a year now? The Indonesians protested for the exact same reasons that we have been protesting. But look, they made their point. They went all the way. We keep stopping halfway. Why? This is our country. We're the ones being hijacked. Well, this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.